The Flash, Season 4, Episode 5, Girls' Night Out. So, once again, we have a pretty funny episode. I think this was actually a really funny episode. Dibney being in the show, I would not hate if he just became a main cast member because he is super freaking funny. Like, everything they write for him and him being, like, just a crappy human is great for the show. Like, it is super freaking funny, and it still involves the main course of the show, which is, metahumans and stuff like that, and they're even training him to be a metahuman. So there's so much to it where it's like, I love the addition of his character. He's super freaking funny. And plus, it's Plastic Man, and this is like a great version of that character because it's him making jokes or being like a bit of a crappy person. It's like, yeah, that's a great rendition of Plastic Man. So I love that. But all in all, this is definitely a fun episode. We get to see Caitlin as Caitlin as well as Killer Frost. We get some actual answers as to who Aminette is and what's going on with that and exactly what Caitlin was doing and why she now owes this random person basically her life, pretty much. And all in all, it was definitely interesting to find out that Caitlin went to this person because, and I thought it was weird, if I'm being totally honest, I thought it was super weird that this woman seemingly had like this amazing cure, but I felt like that was the whole point of like Cisco's technology, like with the necklace and everything. I was like, everything she said was like, oh, she had this cure to kind of help Caitlin get rid of me as Killer Frost. I was like, I feel like that's exactly what Cisco had. It was like she, I know she felt like super crazy about the team and all the madness that went down there, but I was like, still, if she wanted like that last little bit of help, it would have been like, hey, can you make me these bracelets again, or the necklace thing again? And Cisco would have done that in a heartbeat, and then she could have been like, alright, I still don't feel comfortable being around, so I'm going to go. And I'm like, why did she feel the need to go to this other person? Because clearly the cure wasn't permanent, so it was like this weird thing where it was like she had something that helped her control Killer Frost, and it was just like, well, she technically already had that, and it worked perfectly, but story-wise, I guess it was just like she was too ashamed to go back to the team to even ask for that little bit of help, so she went somewhere else, and it worked for a time, and I guess technically it does still work. I mean, whatever she did, because I don't believe they explained. It's been a week since I saw it. I'm doing this review late because I was out of town. So I don't believe they like fully explained exactly what it was. It was just like this thing that helped Caitlin. So I guess technically it's still working because Caitlin is still able to kind of fight against Killer Frost. It wasn't like it was being completely suppressed. Like, she's able to, the Jekyll and Hyde thing. Although they do reference the Incredible Hulk, I always find it very interesting when they reference the other side of the comic universe. So I thought that was interesting when they had, oh dang, I'm totally drawing a blank. Because she's in a totally different show, and like, I can't even think of her freaking name. Felicity. That was really weird, because I'm like, she's not in Arrow, so I'm not like on my Arrow list of characters. But they had a reference Incredible Hulk, so I thought that was very interesting. But they go through, they have their ladies' night, and, they're celebrating the wedding, which, of course, we have coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. We're going to have, like, the 4-part crossover, so that should be pretty awesome. And this time, it should be really cool, because it's a 2-night event instead of last season when all the shows came on, like, Monday through Thursday. Now it's just like, alright, well, boom, here you go. Tuesday and Wednesday, and everything's done. Although, I guess, I don't know how they're going to do the Supergirl thing, because technically when they did that last year, it was like not at all a part of the crossover either. It was like the very end was a part of the crossover and didn't even really count. So they might do that again this year, but it said it was a 2-night event, so hopefully they don't count. I'm assuming that means they aren't counting Supergirl as a part of it. She'll just come in and it'll be a legitimate 2-night event, not a like fake 3-night or 4-night event where it's like, that doesn't count as a crossover. When the whole episode is about Supergirl and then the last thing leads into the crossover, that doesn't count as a 4-night crossover. That's 3 nights and then it's just like talked about in one episode. But anyway, the episode itself, as far as the girls doing their thing, was actually really cool. I like getting to see them go out and they have to handle the mission themselves, and we get to see Caitlin kind of dealing with her typical thing, like what she's been dealing with ever since the Killer Frost stuff sort of came in. Her being Caitlin versus her being Killer Frost, her being both at the same time and being able to control that and stuff. So it was definitely fun to watch that, and we also get to see her actually utilize some powers that we haven't seen before, like her making like the ice dome at the end of the episode. I thought that was actually really cool. So I really loved that. her going up against Amunet, where she controls a very specific type of metal, which I thought was cool because I was like, man, if she controls metal, they're pretty screwed. And they was like, no, it's a very specific type, which explained the bucket. Because at first I was like, why she got a bucket? Like she could just have stuff in her pocket or just like there's stuff on her jacket and kind of shoot it off. But it was like, no, it had to be this specific type of material. And definitely makes it easier for them to survive because if it was all things metal, they would have been completely destroyed. So definitely an easy way to kind of get around that, where it's like, oh, it has to be this specific type of metal, which is why she has it in the bucket. And she does like the metal fist thing, and she'll like shoot shards off of it and stuff like that. So I thought she was actually a pretty cool villain. She was definitely entertaining as far as it's like, hey, I just want you to be my security and stuff like that. She has like one of the metahumans that DeVoe actually transformed on the bus. I'm very curious what in the world his role is. Like everyone's role as far as having the powers that they have, it's hard to say if that was like manipulated, because typically, people going through like certain situations, sometimes that's how they get their powers, where it's like, okay, so you have this power because like Mirror Master, he was like in front of the mirror and stuff, and it was like poof, he was able to do that. With Black Canary, like the current Black Canary and Arrow, at that point when she got hit by the wave, she was actually screaming, and then it kicked into like becoming a superpower where it was the canary cry. So there were just a lot of different things where it's like sometimes it's the situation you're in, because Barry, he was struck by lightning, it was, and they gave him like super speed. It didn't give him lightning powers; it gave him super speed powers. So it's not always 100% related to whatever you were doing, but typically that's how they kind of do it in the show. And I just find that kind of interesting, where it's like, okay, you have certain people with, like the newer characters with the powers that they have, like the woman who had bad luck and the guy who had technology powers. It's like that's just like a part of their lives. It wasn't like it wasn't the exact situation that they were in. So it makes me wonder what was going on with that one guy, because he cries and then his tears become like this insane super drug. So it just made me wonder, like, what's his backstory? What's the deal there? And are these powers being manipulated by DeVoe, or was this 100% random, where he was just like, I predict that these people will get these powers? But it's always, like I said, typically, like Weather Wizard, they were in a storm when that happened. Stuff like that. The guy who was like the tar monster, he was dropped into tar when the wave hit him. So it's just like, what was going on with this guy where he has tears that, turn into a drug? Stuff like that. It was just very interesting. It made me wonder a little bit more about DeVoe's plan, especially by the end of the episode, because I was like, oh, that's, one of the new metas. And then it was just like, all right, they set him free, and he's like, get away from me, and he freaks out. And then he takes off, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess, not much is going to happen there. And then DeVoe basically captures him at the end of the episode, and I was like, so is he going to, like, give him to the police to get arrested, or is he going to keep him contained? And then it just brought in, like, all these questions again, like, what is going on with these powers, and are the powers the purpose, or is it specifically the people? Is it just Barry, but he needs to make sure that the new metas, DeVoe needs to make sure the new metas he created aren't like just out in the world? It keeps bringing up a million questions every time one little thing happens. And like I said, the fact that he had this really weird power, because they kind of show all the different characters with I can't remember her name, but the woman who had like really bad luck. When she gets on the bus, they show all the characters. So it wasn't like the guy was crying. It was just like a part of his life was really sad. So it was like this weird version of it. It wasn't what they were dealing with in that moment. It was just like, this is a big chunk of your life, so that's how you have your powers now. Like the guy wasn't like who had the technology powers. I'm sure everybody had a phone in their pocket, so it was like it wasn't based on that moment. It was based on just his life in general, which is different than what we've seen from the other metahumans. So it makes me wonder, a lot of little questions like, did DeVoe somehow manipulate exactly what powers people got, or just how did all that stuff play out? So just a random little thing, but a whole side story with the ladies was definitely entertaining, and I would say they were the ones who had the main story for the episode, because they had the actual serious stuff. It was, Killer Frost and dealing with, one of the metahumans that DeVoe actually ended up creating. So they definitely had like the main story, and it was definitely fun watching them all, team up, and they, kind of just do what they do. And we got to see Felicity do her thing, so she kind of came right in and was able to easily take over for Cisco. So that was really awesome, and everybody was able to continue on and kind of just do what they always do, and it's just the ladies doing their thing. And then of course the guy's story, definitely hilarious, but absolutely ridiculous. They go to the strip club. Barry is like insanely drunk because Cisco may or may not have like miscalculated how strong that potion was. Like they had it in, I think that was the first season when they did that, and it was like, he felt super drunk, and then it was like, and it's gone, and it was, it took a couple seconds, and he kicked it up to like 8,000 or something because he was messed up the entire episode, and it was just really funny, and he was like crying about how good the chicken was. And chicken's great, I totally get it, but it was just super funny. And Dibney was like, taking everybody to the strip club because he thought everything was, the bachelor party was super boring. So they go to the strip club, and he's like the number one employee and everything. And then he stole, I think, like $5 or $20 from one of the girls. And then the guy, I'm assuming that was like one of the bouncers or something. And he was like, I've been waiting a long time to do this. And he breaks his like customer of the month little picture thing, and he like freaked out. And then they get into a bar fight, and I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing in the universe. So everybody ends up getting arrested somehow except for Wells. I don't know what he was doing, but the whole episode he was just kind of like smooth with everything. It was like he's just drinking, like Cisco was like, before you pour, before you pour the whiskey, like make sure you warm up the glasses and stuff. And it's just like, alcohol, sure, strip club, fine. He came in with the hand sanitizer. I don't know if that was for the strip club or he just has hand sanitizer, but he was just like the whole episode just perfectly fine. Like he was skating through every situation with absolute ease. Only person that didn't get arrested. Don't know how that happened, but somehow he wasn't arrested. Goes in, picks everybody up, and then they kind of just keep going along their way, and they eventually meet up with everybody at the end. And it was just like they had a really crazy half of the episode, and it was just like crazy drunk Barry constantly saying that he was a Flash. By the way, I'm sure that won't come back in any way, shape, or form, but it would be really interesting if all these random drunk people at the bar or at the strip club somehow that actually had some relevance, like in the future. Like, who knew him yelling "I'm the Flash," drunkenly yelling "I'm the Flash," actually had relevance in the future? I doubt it, but sometimes you just never know what random little line that's thrown in there was like, we can utilize that, because they totally could. He kept saying it. He was saying it quite a bit, so I don't know. I highly doubt it will actually have any relevance, but it could in the future. I don't know. But as far as this episode, it was just definitely a funny moment. One of many funny moments. Like both sides of the stories were definitely funny, but obviously it was just like drunk Barry and the guys just being stuck at this strip club, and Dibney being him is just funny. So love that half of the episode. Other half with the ladies was definitely awesome. Joe with his half of the episode, he had to deal with the fact that his new daughter was at a strip club, but it ends up being for like this report about how women can do whatever they want and stuff like that. I don't know if that was a weird point of the episode. I felt like it I don't know, it was just weird, like them doing like the feminism thing. It seemed like it was supposed to have more relevance than it did, and because it didn't, it seemed like it was super random that they were throwing in the hashtag feminism thing. And I was like, I feel like if they were gonna do that, and they kind of did, because they have, of course, the episode where it's like half of it is the ladies doing their thing, and I don't know, it just seemed weird that they seemed like they should have had a even greater focus on it. I don't know, it was super weird. It seemed like it would have more focus, even though half the episode was the ladies, and that was like the main focus. Something about it just seemed weird. It was like they were, I don't know, it didn't feel like it was that insanely intense as like, oh, it's the feminism based episode, if that's what they were trying to go for, which they kind of were, because they were splitting everybody up with the ladies and the guys, and the ladies were like doing their thing as like the actual heroes of the episode, while the guys were just getting into stupid bar fights and being drunk. But in the same realm, it was just like kind of weird to me, where it was like it seemed like it should have had a greater purpose than it actually did. I don't know why, but it was just like, if you're gonna go the feminism route, have it, I don't know, have a greater impact. Even, I mean, because it had a good impact, and it was just ladies. Even the actual main villain of the episode was a lady. So it was like, it was definitely in there, but it was like something about it just seemed like half-hearted, and I don't know what it was. It was, I don't know, maybe it was the fact that they kept throwing the word feminism in there. I don't know. It was like they were like, maybe that's what it was. It was like they felt like they needed to throw the word in there to like be like, make sure you understand we're representing women being like strong and powerful. And it was like, I could get that without the word feminism being thrown in there. So I don't know, maybe something about that. It's like a weird middle ground, and I didn't care either way, because I was just like, it was a good episode. But I don't know, it's like whenever it's anything like that, where it's that real world aspect of feminism, or when it gets like political stuff or religious stuff, it's like either go all the way with it or don't at all. And I don't know, I guess because it was literally, the episode was split down the middle, that was the point. I felt like it could have just been a normal episode where everyone was involved with like the whole case, but the women were the ones who did it. I feel like that would have had an even greater impact. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting. It was like a weird. It almost felt half-hearted because they kept. I don't know, putting in the word feminism to say like feminism. It's totally a thing. And it's just like, yeah, it was there without the word. I mean, the guys are doing nothing. They're useless this episode. The ladies are being super awesome. It's right there. Like you say it in the beginning of the episode. It's already in my head. It's already in my head from the very beginning, right there. And then I don't have to hear it, multiple times. But that was like what they were going for, and it seemed like it didn't. I don't know. It was just so weird. It was hard. I feel like it's really hard for me to explain like why I felt it was half-hearted, even though it kind of wasn't. It was just like them saying the word almost is what made it half-hearted. Like they kept having to remind us that it was like, hey, it's a special feminism episode because we're showing how powerful the women are, but we also are saying how we're showing how powerful the women are. That's how I kept feeling every time they said feminism. I was like, they keep saying that, but I get it. Like I understand that from the first time they said it because you only need to say it once, and then just have the women be super awesome because that's what they were doing. So it's just like, it's weird when you have the word that you're trying to represent and you keep saying the word like make sure you get it's this thing we're representing. That almost like takes away from what it is because it's like you have to push it out there, and it I don't know, it just seems weird. It's like we already had it. You don't. I mean, some people are probably stupid and didn't get it. So I mean, I guess I can certainly say that that's a fact. I'm sure some people did not understand that, but I don't know. For me, as someone who just gets it, I guess I didn't feel like they needed to say the actual word. They just already showed how awesome the female characters are of the show, of two shows even, because they had Felicity come in, which was a really great surprise, by the way, because I had no idea she was in this episode. So they did it from two separate shows technically, but all in all, great episode. I just wanted to kind of do that little rant because it was like it felt like they were forcing it. Like, hey, it's almost like the gun control thing with Arrow, where it's like they sometimes. I mean, that was the whole point of that episode, so that was not half-hearted, but the ending of that episode I can recall as being like this magical solution where we don't know what the solution is. It just there is a solution, and it's like just go, just show it. I don't know. You don't have to say the word or get into all these statistics and specifics. Just show this thing, and if people don't get it, they're as dumb as they've always been, and that's just how it is. Like that's the way the world works. And sometimes trying to tell them it just makes them worse. Like it sucks, but that is the world is weird like that. I don't know, but the episode was fun, really funny, really awesome. I can't wait to see where we go with Caitlyn after this episode because of how seriously they dealt with her as far as the actual level of control that Caitlyn has versus Killer Frost. I was about to say Killer Snow, but Killer Frost. So I'm definitely looking forward to how that's gonna really translate into the rest of this season and possibly even the series. So I'm really excited I'm really happy for what happened to her character in this episode, and also the fact that everyone found out that she was dealing with this big issue. I feel like that'll change the team dynamic a little bit as well, because they'll be like, hey, we know now what you've been doing in between when you left and when you've come back, so now we can help you, in retrospect, we can kind of help you a little with that transition. That way you don't have to, do it all on your own. So I feel like it's going to have a great change for her character as well as the characters around her, because they're going to be like, okay, she was dealing with a lot of craziness, which that's like the story of her character before powers. People just dying. Well, really the same person just dying over and over again. So, her dealing with this constant struggle of either loss or a loss of control, that always changes the characters around her and how they view her. And I think her now having not only more control herself, but being able to have confronted that issue with the people around her will also help them change as well. Like, all right, we now know what Caitlyn can deal with, but we know exactly where she's still struggling. So I'm looking forward to that popping up. At least, in a couple episodes, it won't be like the main focus all of a sudden, but I'm looking forward to that popping up because that is always one of those things that it seems minor, but with it being a character who's a hero and then a villain at other times when her powers activate, that's a really big deal. So I'm looking forward to that having a different sense of relevance, going forward in the rest of the series. So really, really good episode. Like I said, really funny. Love what they did with Caitlyn. The feminism thing was definitely well done. I just felt like they didn't need to say that it was feminism the whole time. You say it once so people get it. I know some people are dumb, so maybe they needed to, they felt the need to actually put it in there multiple times. But all in all, definitely a great episode. Looking forward to the next one, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know where you guys think things are going to go for Caitlyn after this episode. She had so much control by the end. That big secret that she had was revealed. Honestly, I was surprised it actually happened this early in the season. I thought it would take much longer for that to really play out. But the dude just walked up to her at the table, and I was like, oh, this is really happening. So finally, it's there. But I would love to know how you guys felt about the progression of her character in this episode and what that means for her in the future, because I'm really looking forward to it. But we'll love to know your thoughts on that, and of course this episode in general. Sorry for my rant, because this could have actually been like half the length of the review, so I do apologize for my little rant with how they did the feminism thing and all that, but I felt like I had to say it because it just something about it like kind of bugged me with the way they were like forcefully saying the word when it was just like you've already shown what what the word embodies, that sort of thing. So I don't know, it just seemed like overkill to keep forcing the word when you've already done a great job showing it to me. So sorry about that mini rant, but I would love to know your thoughts on that as well. But in general, just want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.